Hello everybody, this is Simon with Let's Play Sonic 2006. Let's have some fun, shall we? Knock it off, Knuckles. We're going to do town missions. Starting with this one, which is number 6. Because we missed out on 6 to 10, this is what we're going to do right now. I would like to have a blanket statement at the start. The lore for these makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It's always the flimsiest excuse for anything. Anyway, this mission here is something which I've seen a lot of people have a bit of trouble with because it works pretty much the same as every other town mission in that you have to follow a very strict line and always do things in order, especially if you want to succeed, but that line is not clear at all in this case because, for example, box number 3 appears after you get all of the ring boxes, then box number 2 appears here, which causes number 1 to appear, so it's just really weird. You also do not have to collect every single ring that comes out of the boxes, you just have to destroy them. There will be a ring score at the end, but you know. Also number 5 appears here, but a little bit late. You might be tempted to go up to the spring, but that is extremely wrong. You will not keep going with the line. And again here, 3 shows up after you collect a few of the rings here, or after number 5 completely despawns, and it's just a bit of a mess considering. Here, for example, you need to turn right for the correct line to get the number 1, and this is just something which you learn. And now this switch has shown up out of nowhere, and now you can take the spring. And now you get all of the ring boxes here. And again, if you don't do this, then all of this will not show up and you will be completely lost. Then a little bit late, a booster spawns, and it's just really weird. It's just really weird. And you zoom along on the side on this one. Generally, this is fun if you just follow the line, in my opinion, but it can be extremely confusing the first time you do it. And you might be tempted to get all of the rings. You can't destroy these barriers, which is sad because they would be 300 points each. And the description just says to get rings, which is not correct. You need to destroy all of the boxes. And yes, the rings do help the points, but still, you know. Checking out the new bounce attack for stuff like this, and more rings, and up here. And wow, so this is actually quite fun and dynamic, you know, but it's not entirely obvious that this is what you have to do, and this is how it ends. And you have to get every single ring box for the mission to end. You don't have to get a specific amount of rings, you just have to destroy every destroyable object, get every gettable box, and so on. And if you do this correctly, then with the ring bonus, which is guaranteed to be quite high, and a bit of a time bonus, you get the S-Rank. Generally, this is somewhat lenient if you know where the line is. And again, it is not entirely obvious where the next stack of boxes is going to spawn, that you just have to destroy the boxes and so on. If you follow it, it's fun, but it's not clearly conveyed at all, and this is a bit of an issue with many of these town missions, where because the game is a bit of a mess, it is entirely not clear what you actually have to do. Yes, I did see the other town mission, but I'm going to follow a little bit of a weird line throughout the city, because I'm going to do them in order. This is number 7, destroy all enemies in the new city. It's a very fun and obvious title, and that is actually what you have to do, but with a tiny twist, again, that something spawns when you kill a group of enemies, and this is what you have to take to progress, and these are the 3 discs. So just a very basic combat mission here. The explosive box didn't destroy every enemy, which I could see because there was still a blip on the radar. I don't quite know why the anti-gravity stopped here. I think I might have just done a normal kick and not the anti-gravity. I'm going for the box here because it destroys a lot of enemies at once, netting me the bonus. I'm getting hit a lot at the start here, but it doesn't really matter, as we're going to see. You will not win this with a ring bonus. There has also been an optional ring box, which I missed. I went for the disc instead. What you really have to do is just kill all of the enemies quickly. These ones with the orbits, they always try to obfuscate their actual target. But it's fine if you just keep homing attacking, and if you destroy one of the invisible ones, those are actually all leader enemies for the entire group. So don't feel tempted to kill the robot first, the big one. Anyway, next group, just your usual stuff, but by now the enemies are getting a little bit harder. The blue ones take 2 hits to kill. Then we get 2 big boys, and it's time to show off both the power of the anti-gravity and the power of the bounce bracelet. Yes! As you can tell, both attacks are extremely valid to take out the big guys very quickly. The bounce is almost a little bit better, but it needs a little bit more setup, because you can do the anti-gravity from a run, but you have to preload that, so it's entirely up to you which one is more comfortable in the moment, and for groups of enemies on the ground, the slide is obviously better. This was relatively tight. I needed to have a few rings here, but generally you get a lot of points from the enemies, so the time bonus is scaled in a way so that with the rings together, again, you get almost enough points just from going through it as quickly as possible, and then you don't have to get hit. So generally, again, the town missions are weirdly well thought out in the points department, and I really appreciate this type of design here. Somebody sat down and thought about how high can we make the bonus so that it's always going to be a bit of a challenge. And I don't know, somebody really cared about this, and I'm really happy that I can show it off for you guys, because it is something which I appreciate. There is thought put into the design of this game. As weird as it sounds, somebody actually cared, and I think I appreciate it. I really like it. You did a good job. Anyway, again, this town mission's backstory is absolutely ludicrous nonsense, but this is why I really like to never comment on the lore in this game, because I would be sitting here all day and be like, wow, this makes no sense, and you know what, it doesn't really matter. It does not matter, we're here for the gameplay. The gameplay in this case is basically asking you, do you know how to control Tails? Because if you don't, if his weird air non-acceleration, you always are at top speed, trips you up, then you will be spending hours here trying to hit all of these rings. As you could tell, even I am struggling here and I have a lot of practice, but it is just that hard. It really seems like they want you to be able to take these rings in one line, like go up and down and up and down, but it just does not work at all. Like, it is completely impossible. And this here as well, it seems like it should be one line, and I almost do it, but well, with a little bit of a hiccup, it is basically one flight, but it's still pretty hard. And these ones here, again, if you do not know how to handle Tails flying and his height and his acceleration, you will be here forever. Fortunately, I do. So this is the first part of it. You get a lot of points from the rings, which again is something which they anticipated and have in the final calculation. And we're also getting a preview here of a third hub world, which is always a little bit funny. This is the jungle, which so far was completely closed. And what you have to do is just basically destroy all of these rocks. There is a certain issue with that, in that Knuckles' best attack, the charge attack here, it just doesn't hit the rocks, and the drill attack, it doesn't hit the rocks, because again, the hitboxes on Knuckles' attacks are awful. This is really, really bad. The one thing that helps save it is yeah, you just have to destroy all of the rocks, so you just keep hitting them to make sure that yes, every single one of them has been tagged. You can erase the debris by hitting it again for whatever reason, and something which I'm not sure if they actually anticipated, if you destroy these stripy barriers, you get 500 points each. I've said this before, and this is a major, major boon. If those rocks had a blip on the minimap, red dot like the enemy, it would have helped a lot. But here often is the case. You just punch through them and then you're like, so did I destroy everything? No, there is one that is looking fine at some point, but the debris in front of it is hiding it. And it's just, I'm making sure here that I definitely hit every rock. And then there is one on the side. And then there is one that is still not hit, and this is the final one. But you see, this is a mess, and it's not fun. It is basically just a Knuckles combat tutorial, which really should have been at some... Oh my god, I'm so sorry, dude. Let me hit this button. Okay, good. We didn't see that. Anyway, this really should have been before the Flame Core section, where you really have to already know Knuckles, and it's really weird. But yeah, they expect you to do these as soon as possible, I think, to get you familiarized with the new characters and just general movement stuff, but it is not mandatory, so there is no way you get practice with Knuckles beforehand. It's sad, but this is something which a better structure could have fixed, and something where, again, if you had maybe a hub world in the future, this might have worked, but alas, it doesn't. I don't know what the other strings here do, because I'm taking the best one. This is extremely dumb. You just have to go to the end here with Sonic, and if you know the layout of Soliana, it's fine. If you don't, then you will get hopelessly lost and run out of time and have to do everything again. And this is one of these missions which is massively, massively improved from me playing it on an emulator, because of course the loading times would have been absolutely crippling here on hardware. As we are not on hardware, fortunately, we can get through this relatively quickly and have a lot of extra time to spare. No, not like the loading times reduce the time you have, but even if I had to retry this, it wouldn't have been nearly as painful. And there is going to be a lot more missions with a lot more loading screens where the emulator is a godsend. It really is, especially for the town missions. Again, something a little bit wrong with the textures. Okay, I fixed it, no problem. If you're ever playing along here on Xenia, you just press F4 and this fixes the textures. I don't know what exactly it does, but it works out like a charm, and we're going to see it a few times. This is definitely an emulation issue, not the game issue. As always, full transparency. So this town mission number 9 we're on, and this is a really, really dumb one. There is no way to around it. This is not fun at all. It just makes absolutely no sense. So what you have to do is just destroy this car. It says chase, but now you have to destroy it. A homing attack doesn't quite work. Anti-gravity doesn't work because it's too slow. You have to kick the car. Maybe the spin dash might work if you do it correctly, but this is the way to do it. This is the only way to do it. And people will forget about the kick. Honestly, it's not good. And so I've struggled with this when I first played it. I've seen a lot of Let's Players struggle with it, but this is the only way to do it. You just run alongside the car and kick it with your feeble hitbox, rub yourself against it, and then you have enough time bonus, and that's it. That's 20 seconds. I mean, this is the best way to do it, obviously. It's just really, really stupid. But let's just forget about it. It's not very painful at all. We just did it and it's going to be fine. It's just one of those filler missions where they had the highway segment and they had the car programmed. We're going to see a lot more of those with Shadow. And they wanted to do something with it. And I guess that's fine if you have to pad out your mission list, which again is not necessary because Sonic has by far the most missions. Could have cut 5 of those, it wouldn't have mattered. On the other hand, you really need all of those rings because Sonic is the only character who actually has optional upgrades that are worth a damn and are actually also pricey enough to justify getting that many rings. Not yet, not yet. I've talked about this before, but everything we're getting right now, you still cannot spend it on anything useful. Let's focus on this mission. This is another one of those where you follow a clear line and all of the rings will spawn in to go through as you go through them. And it's quite fun, it's very nice, but again, you have to kind of know the line. Usually stuff will spawn into plain sight, but sometimes it does not, and this is actually going to happen here. And for full disclosure, I'm going to show you that. So this is the crucial part here. If you go here and here, everything makes sense. And there is the spring, but it is very tempting to take the spring. But what I didn't see out of the corner of my eye, something has spawned behind me. And now remember that this always happens. You have to turn around and take this here first. And you can take this one, which makes no sense because it will propel you right under the rings. And now taking the spring makes sense. And you get more rings, 100 points each, that's nice, and you have to do this kind of repeat of the very first town mission, but this one actually gives you a little bit more air control, or rather you press forward and it's just enough to always land in the middle, so this is massively more easy than the Winder of a Shoemaker mission, which is really weird, but let's see what happens here. Yeah. Oh, that's actually quite a bit off, because again I got turned around at one point and these are tight. I'm making it look like it's super easy, but if you're not following the line and if you are unfamiliar with the movement of the characters, then you will not get an automatic S-Rank. I got tripped up, got turned around a little bit, but just for that we're not going to start the recording over. So what I'm going to do is actually show you a little bit of the menus. This is something I sometimes miss in Let's Plays, just how you generally move around in the game. So here is a little bit of an explanation of what I'm doing if I have to redo something. You go to trial select and then you go to mission select, and then here you can see all of the missions. This is also how you know that one mission is this number or that number, and that yes, we did everything up to mission 12. And so here is how I'm doing it again. Just following the line correctly now. At the start nothing is different, of course, but now I remember where everything is. I'm doing it a little bit more efficiently, following the line here and around here, and it's quite fun. and again through here. You can shortcut a little bit with homing attacks and so on. Here I already know that I can just mash the button. Sometimes this is not entirely clear, but you can just mash A. There is absolutely no timing aspect in this. And now I see, yes, I turn around here, take this booster here and miss the ring because the booster sends you too far. And here, spring through here and so on and so forth. Use the homing attacks to shortcut, and this is the kind of efficiency that the game actually expects from you. And if you pull it off, in my opinion, this is fun. This is a lot of fun if you do this correctly, and it is not free, so you actually have to invest a little bit of challenge here. So now I got the S-Rank, because otherwise I wouldn't have shown you this footage, of course. But you know what the issue is? There is not going to be a results screen here at the end. And what that means is that I got the 500 instead of 1000 rings, and there is not going to be the difference on my account. So the town missions, the game really expects you to do them immediately at the highest rank, and I think this is really bad because I'm missing out on those 500 rings. That's stupid, isn't it? Anyway, tell me if you had as much fun watching the video as I did making it. Thank you very much for your attention.